Back in the
Thank
day,
Yeah, it's
I
good.
used to be ashamed of my last name.
Oh.
I was because I thought, when you are African growing up, it's all stereotypes.
Right.
So you're just like, oh, I should hide my name, and I wish I had a more American name and stuff. And then it's like, as I got older, it's like I started taking more pride in it, and a lot of us started taking more pride in it. I'm like so thankful that all these things like Black Panther and all this people are embracing culture more now.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to go through what us,
Yeah.
our generation, went through growing up. Like,
Yeah.
so yes.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Because your name is powerful.
And that's important for other people too, who
Yeah.
also might feel similarly and like don't feel comfortable correcting even their first names.
We are more than careers. We are more than careers.
So how are you both? Because
Yeah.
you have just come back from a conference,
Mm-hmm.
right? So SOAS, you'll have to really bad at acronyms. Southern Association
Colleges and
Colleges and Employers. Thank you. So tell us a little bit about how that went and why you were there, I guess.
So it was cool. We went there because, I think we've both been before because it's the regional conference. It's a really good conference. And this time we were presenting. So we were presenting on the initiatives for Black and Latinx students. So as you know, we had this group going for a while, and then when Eric came, we kind of like took it to another level. So we were able to share that this time. So Eric was bringing the greens, beans. The title was called "Going All In," so Eric really emphasized we were going all in.
I said
Were there
the
costumes
gumbo.
involved or what was
The
going on?
gumbo of experience.
Yeah,
Greens, beans,
we had
tomatoes,
the
yams.
creme
You name it, we went all in.
That sounds amazing.
services or whatever.
But
Yeah.
Margaret, she's being modest though, because this is about her. This is an interview of Margaret and the phenomenal things that she's doing in her career journey. So I'm super excited to interview you.
Yeah.
Now, Margaret's being modest because she was the visionary behind all of this. She's the one that, when I came into it, it was clear on what we needed to do as far as like creating a space for equity and inclusion. So what made you like say, okay, this is it, we gotta push the agenda, let's make something happen, instead of, because you said it good, it was like, instead of talking about it, we gotta walk it, you know, so.
So honestly, before, I won't talk about that too much yet, I guess. Before working here, I've always been interested in, equity, diversity, inclusion. Even if I never called myself a practitioner, an advocate, it's just what I did and all my roles and just the things I'm passionate because of my own background. So, so I have been doing that, but what really sparked it at the Career Center here at UNT, where I was working, was just all the things that happened last summer or summer 2020 with George Floyd incident and all of that. There was just a lot of meetings. There's just a lot of just like, this is what and I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm like, we have options right in our, our backyard, so to speak. We're right here. We're at the forefront of what students need. I mean, a lot of these companies are starting to think about, how can I diversify? Or they're starting to do all these different things. And, students are looking at us as staff. And I also think that, I think our VP was like, we need to start something. And I kind of just had this nudge, because I wasn't going to, but I was like, that's kind of your thing, Margaret. So I'll do it. And I had I had like a vision for it, and people were really willing or interested in actually doing something versus just like saying stuff about it. So so that's kind of what started it, and I wasn't really given any sort of direction. I don't think anybody even anticipated it would turn into all of campus.
So what was your vision?
At first, because our office is predominantly white, it was that, you know, there would be action put to the words that we say. So, you know, we're at a campus that is a minority serving institution, you know, that has a large Black student population, large Latinx student population. And it's like, well, what are we doing to serve them? We don't reflect them, you know, but how are we really intentionally serving them? And this, you know, this population that is our largest racial or ethnic population of the school, like, what are we actually doing? So I started it with, it just kind of came to me, like, assess what you're doing and actually look at what you're doing internally. Start internally, like, what are you doing there? Who are the people, who are the players, what are we actually doing within, what are our practices? And then, okay, what are we actually doing to outreach to students intentionally? Do we have any programs that actually specifically target these student groups? And then I thought about how, you know, just self-awareness, and I'm just looking at different theories and things like that. You know, I'm a student, so all that stuff. I think self-awareness is so important, and just really, how are you playing a role in helping or not helping, you know, or maintaining the status quo? This is what I said in the first meeting. I was like, if you're not being proactive, you're maintaining the status quo. I told them that in the first meeting. And then the other thing was, you know, now actually how working with people who are, you know, putting students in jobs, like employers, and collaborating with them. How are we telling them about our students, or, you know, what's that landscape like? So that was the vision for it, or the action. I mean, those were the 4, I guess, pillars I had for it. So, but the idea was that I wasn't going to really educate everyone on how to treat Black students or Latinx students. Is that that I really wanted to see us actually make some changes within, and, you know, without and outside of our office. So, yeah.
I love that, because when we was at SOACE, it was like we was running so fast that we wasn't even aware of all the things that we have accomplished.
Yeah.
And then at the end of our presentation, we was like, we really did as a career center, we really did a lot. That was coming from your vision of just being clear, assessing internally, and then putting action to word, like words to action, like really being intentional and moving. So during all of that, like, what has been some things that you feel like fulfilled your vision? Some things that you noticed that fulfilled your vision?
I thought it was really cool to see everyone who was in that group. I mean, we had some lulls in that group, I'm not gonna lie. People were tired of the pandemic. And, you know, maybe some people don't know how to really take action that way because they're not of that demographic group. So it can be, but I really like seeing people who wanted to do something but didn't know how actually put their best foot forward. So, like, I know, like, Jeanette, and even like you, even before you started working here, like, you compiled the data for us, and it's like that was like a starting point. Like, who uses the Career Center? And it's like, I'm not good at all that. So that's not something I enjoy. So just letting people use their different strengths or what they do in their functional area and using those strengths to help further our cause was really cool. So even if someone wasn't, you know, well, Margaret, I'm not sure what's not Black. I don't know how to. Well, you don't have to do that. You're good at this, so you can create a survey, and we can look at this survey together and figure it out. Or, you know, so I like that people could contribute something, in some way. So I really appreciated that, and it gave people space to do that. So and then you came, and what I appreciate about you is that you just execute. And I just think that that's something that, and I know, like, our group was great, but we did need someone that was, like, willing to execute some of those ideas. And I think that, you know, that's like your strength. So, like, It's no need to be modest.
We can accept compliments.
Yeah, so.
Well, diversity card.
Oh.
We don't need to.
See, look, we can accept compliments.
But it's like you can't do all that stuff by yourself.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's true.
I think I kind of feel like a lot of times I was just keeping it going.
Yeah.
Like, we will still meet at this time, or okay, so what are we gonna do next?
Yeah.
Or just saying like, what are we gonna do? Okay, so
Right.
what can we actually do?
But
there?
you made a good point.
Yeah.
Like, some that ain't my strength. Like certain things that I do, it might not be my strength, but we
Yeah.
do have a vision of how you can contribute with your strength. It's accepted.
Yeah.
We can move forward. We can figure out how we can mix it all in to make sure that we create that equitable space, because we got to keep on board with or on par with what we're doing this for, you know.
Right.
So you did a good job of making sure that we stayed on target. Like, this is what we're working towards. This is what we're working towards.
And this is testament to your leadership, honestly. Like
Yeah,
anything that's come
yeah.
out of that group is because of your influence, your vision, your inspiration, but then
Yeah.
also you holding everyone else accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what you said, I remember you vividly saying in the meeting, like we're talking about the same things over and over
Mm-hmm.
again. How do we actually move forward and make change that is sustainable, that is lasting, that we can actually say that we're making an impact and a difference in the students' lives. So I very much appreciate your leadership in all of it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
So,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, either at the beginning or when you were thinking about starting and kind of leading this group, did you have any concerns or fears?
Mhm.
And what were those, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, I'm an introvert, and I'm kind of shy. Like, I know everyone, and I had my group, my things that I did, but I really wasn't. I guess this kind of put me out there a little bit more in the office, actually, which was a good thing. But it really turned out to be a good thing because I also got to know other people in the office in a different way. So I thought that was really cool. But I was concerned at first. I was just like, well, what if, just kind of falls off, or, all right, it's like, I'm just gonna be very candid. Everybody is like white, or like most of our
Yeah.
most of our
That's
stuff is white. So
Yeah.
it's like, am I like that person that's like, oh, it's the black person that's just trying to, teach everyone? Or I was concerned about some of that stuff, and I would have some of those concerns even as I went through it, but I just kept showing up. That's really what it was. I just kept showing up. Yeah.
I had a professor that used to tell me all the time, if you attend class, you tend to pass. I remember that. If you
To this day.
attend class, you tend to pass. But that goes to your point, like, if you show up, you don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
You might have fears, you might have concerns, but I'm showing up the best way that I can so I can make sure that I'm creating movement. I can pass, lack of a better term.
Yeah.
But that's good. Now, you mentioned that it was a nudge that made you kind of feel like, oh, I got to do something. Have you had any previous nudges that made you push and do something different?
Yeah, I always follow, I guess my conviction. I always follow that, or try to. And it's like I have very strong convictions, so if I don't do something that I felt like I should have done, I'm gonna feel really bad about it. So throughout, wow, where do I begin? I always do. Like, I don't even know where to begin. Like,
Ooh,
I
you
always
told me
do.
about that rally
oh yeah.
that you created. That was great. Like, when you told me
Yeah.
that, I was like, really? I was
Yeah, I
nervous.
did
I was
that.
afraid. But
Yeah, it was.
That was great. That was incredible.
I was very nervous about that. So, I'm Nigerian. So, when years ago, when the young ladies from northern Nigeria were kidnapped by the terrorist group Boko Haram, it went everywhere, and I was like, I saw all these protests and rallies starting to happen, and I felt like, I'm a spiritual person, so I felt like God put in my heart you need to do something too. And I was like, I do? And I did feel passionate about it at the time. I did feel like I needed to do something. And I did kind of hesitate. And I remember talking to a friend, and they're like, "Well, if you feel led to do it, you just need to just do it." So I finally just got myself together. You know, we made T-shirts for it, and I organized one Bring Back Our Girls rally in Arlington, and I spoke at it and was really able to just. I mean, those that were there, I was just able to really encourage them. I don't know, it kind of just turned into something else, turned into a church, it turned into all kinds of stuff. It turned into everything, but it was it was small, but it was really powerful. I did something else the following year that was me trying to do a live protest as well, which I'm not the technology, I needed help. But I mean, I tried, and I got actually one of the, not survivors, no, she was one of the people that was on the ground with helping those, trying to help that cause. So I got her to join it too. So it was me stepping out of my comfort zone. It was cool. It was a good experience, but it was just me stepping out of my comfort zone. But I just did it.
So how have, some of your past experiences or your family or, folks in your life impacted kind of the things that you've done?
That's a great question too. So I mean my mom is she's very supportive. She just, whatever you do, just do the best at it. And my sister is very encouraging. She also has very strong convictions too. So it probably was stronger than me. So there, I think our faith and just really instilling faith and just following that whatever you're led to do, you need to do it. That's something that I believe my family has instilled in me. So religion has been big to me. Or Christianity. I'm trying to think of what else has influenced me. I think I've always also been around people, even friends, that are just really interested in making an impact somewhere. So I really always appreciate that. So.
You attract what you bring on.
Yeah. I had some people that wasn't supposed to be. Everybody has
always happens.
No, but I have really, I've always had some really good friends throughout the years that have really encouraged me to do things too.
So if you could give advice to your younger self, what is a or multiple pieces of advice that you would give?
It's still the same. It's the advice I would give to myself now. I was just go for it. Don't, if you want to do something, just try it. You don't have to sit on something because you're not sure. Or I can be an overthinker sometimes, so it's just get out of your own way. A lot of times I just have to tell myself that, or just you're overthinking something. But there's probably someone else who may not even have the expertise or skill you have, and they're confident, or just and they're pursuing it. It's you might as well just go after it and try. So whatever that may be. So I feel I still give myself that advice.
I need that advice.
Yeah.
Is that the same advice that forced you to get your PhD? Because you currently pursuing that too.
Yeah, it is.
You got a lot.
It is the same advice, but again, it was another. I had always wanted to be Dr. Margaret. I just didn't know it would be this way. So I went to school for counseling. I got my master's in counseling at TCU. At TCU, and I worked for them for a while, and then I also worked for a nonprofit. And I knew at 4 years, I said, I don't know. I was like, I'm gonna be here. And that 4 years came, and I really felt like it's time for me to move on to something else, but I didn't know what that something else was. But I kind of knew it was school, and I was kind of I don't want to go yet. Because I knew going back to school and a doctor meant it's a huge commitment.
Yeah.
So I was just okay. But I mean, I tried applying. I did it. Oh my gosh, now I'm thinking about what happened. I even kind of sat on that a little bit, because I my friend who actually works here, my friend, she was telling me that she was applying to UNT's higher education PhD program. And I decided on higher education because it's like, I want to make a difference in education and like promote access and all of that stuff. So she was applying here and I was like, okay, I'm gonna apply. And then I kind of sat on it because I really was like, I'm gonna go back to school. Like, and I remember meeting this lady who, I don't know, she worked at a community college that I just happened to, I saw her around sometimes at my nonprofit job. And she's just like, my soror sister works at UNT. She's a professor there, and you should connect with her. And she connected me with her, and I would talk to this lady, this professor on the phone, and she just like pushed me through my application. Like, just like, you're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and I'm going to look over this. And her husband, who's also a PhD, looked at my research paper, and like, they really encouraged me through that process. And like, I was like, Tuesday, I don't think I've even seen her in person yet. I just talked to her on the phone. And once I had finally gotten into UNT, like, I kind of lost connection with her.
Yeah.
Like, it was like as if she was just sent for that time. Like, you're gonna go. Like, that happened, and here I am. So like, I have a lot of situations like that.
And I think that's like extra confirmation whenever you're going down the right path, when things just kind of pop in and helps you.
Even when you don't want
When
to
you
go.
don't want to do it.
You're like,
I don't want to go. I mean, it got to the point where I remember, because I wanted to go to another school, or I thought about going to another school. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to this other school. But they would never return my emails. Like, the coordinator would respond like a month later to my emails. And I remember I volunteered at the youth ministry at my church, and like the youth director, he said on the microphone, he's like, some of you want to go to this school, and he said the school, but you're supposed to go to UNT. And he didn't know that. He did not know that I was.
He was like, oh.
He didn't know that was my dilemma.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Someone's speaking
That's a
to you
sign.
right now.
Yeah. I mean, I actually would have people come up to me like, you're gonna go get your doctorate. You're gonna get. I'm like, oh my god, at this point. Like, so here I am.
So here you are.
So
Just
what is
one step at a time?
Yeah, what is your research focus?
Yeah. Right now, because it might change a little bit. I really like career development. So, or I just feel like, why are you? I mean, there's lots of reasons you could be in college, but really, I mean,
Right.
Yeah. So don't you? What are you gonna do after this? Really?
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of times we talk about retention, and all of that, access and retention. But what about after you leave? So how has college impacted you when you leave and you go into the professional world? So my interest is looking at Black men specifically and their transition into the professional world, going into fields where they're underrepresented everywhere, but where they're underrepresented, and what is that experience like? So looking at that transition experience for Black men, because I mean we all know, you know the statistics and everything like that, and there's literature and initiatives, but a lot of times there's just not a focus on, okay, when you leave here, what is life like? What did you take from college other than a degree that got you there, that helped you to basically not just to exist, but even thrive in that space, or so that's where I'm focusing on. But it could change a little bit. I have a feeling it might. So I'm not 100% settled on it, but that's in the ballpark, because I started off with access, and I'm still in the same area that I wanted to focus on, but I'm still thinking about if I want to focus solely on that Black men. I'm still looking through all the literature stuff.
Yeah. What have you learned through the literature? Maybe some nuggets or something.
Oh, I mean, and I feel like what I learned is what I seen. I mean, a lot of times it's what you can validate what you know, like just that that they're underrepresented.
Yeah.
And they face the same, microaggressions, things like that they face in the workplace. and that mentorship is important. You know, it's a lot of stuff we kind of know. Like mentorship is important. Having advocacy is important. Having those support systems while you're here in college. That you know, so a lot of those things that we know. Actually, a lot of stuff that's important for a student that's in college is still important when you leave. It's still important. You just have to find it a different way. So.
Yeah.
But I haven't done a study yet, so you know that's why I want to see what.
Yeah. So what are with like your PhD, and you also recently got a promotion, which I want to acknowledge. So congratulations on that. Well, very well deserved, even though I haven't worked with you a ton. I know from lots of other folks that it was much overdue. So
thank you.
How what are some of your professional goals right now?
Professional goals, like 5, like in the future, like right at this moment.
For maybe let's say 5 years, and then like maybe do you have an ultimate goal or not? Because as we know, we don't all have ultimate goals, and it changes constantly. So
that's true. I do. I've been on this track of I want to work in upper level administration at some point at a university, and whether that's at a community college or a 4-year institution. So that's a goal I have. It's either that or the nonprofit space too. I mean, I'm open to other space. I'm open to anywhere where I can make decisions on behalf of, marginalized individuals. Like that's really, it's access and opportunity. That's really what I'm about. So wherever I can go do that, that's what I want to do. So. It was upper level administration hire. It was my goal. Ultimately, and even like kind of now, I mean, I want to be a public speaker. I do. I really do. I was like, that's not a secret really, because I was like, I'm getting my feet wet right now, kind of with that, and I have over my life actually, but yeah, I wanted to like travel around and encourage people to pursue their goals and all that.
You should have seen her at SOAS. I called her the Michelle Obama of public speaking.
I said, and it's funny because in that I didn't really you haven't seen me really go in. No. Like if you went to the rally, you probably see that's where I went.
So you with the Bishop T.D. Jackson.
No, that's you. That's definitely you. Somebody called him
the Dr. Umar.
No, not that. I'm not.
But you should have seen her. She came up. She was all taller than me, so I was like, "Hey, Margaret."
I wear heels.
She was taller than me. She had her heels on. She was looking clean. She was confident.
Yeah.
She was shining bright. I was like, "Oh man," it made me nervous. I was like, "Oh, what should I say?"
Or should make you excited because this is your partner in crime.
I ain't got no nails. I was like, "What should I say?"
On the table.
No. What? I missed a lot.
People really love that the dynamic.
I think that which is great because that's your partners in that for a reason. So
It's about Mark. She was cold. She was, and then she was so calm. You should have seen before. I was like, "How are you so calm?" Because I was like, "Oh shoot, we ain't got the sound thing right, or we didn't get." So I'm focused on all these little things, and she was like, "All right, I'm gonna send it to myself." And she was moseying on over. I'm gonna send it. All right, we're almost ready, and I'm like, she was all right. It's time to go. So she was so calm.
Our video wasn't working, or the sound
She
for our
was so
video,
calm.
and we had to wait. I was just like, it's okay.
I was doing
We're gonna make it. I mean, I went to
It's
some
gonna be
counseling,
okay.
like
She
it's
was
something
calm.
somewhere. Psychology and counseling.
I was talking like that.
I have no doubt you're talking like that. So how have you developed that confidence to speak in front of groups of people like that?
I still get nervous. I feel like I'm still perfecting my craft, honestly. Like I have a coach now. So I'm saying I have started asking for help though. So so I can work on it. But I think when you talk about something you really like, it's easy, or something you're passionate about, it's easier to speak. So yeah, I don't know. So I don't picture everyone in their underwear. So I feel like that would make me nervous. That would make me like distracted.
Right.
Like I think I just try to bring. I want to say myself, but I feel like I'm still even getting somewhere where I can be completely myself on stage. Like,
Yeah.
I'm still getting there. Like there's presentations I do where I have been, but I'm still working on it. Yeah.
You are.
That's good that she's relying on, like, not being afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes we be wanting to do it ourselves, but it's always good to get a coach, like you said, to get feedback and practice, so we can be able to find our space in front of people or to present in such a way.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I have a kind of shift of things a little bit, but we've talked about a lot of things that you do all the time, which I don't know how you have time for anything else. Do you have vices or things that you do for yourself to
vices?
like de-stress?
Oh, yeah, I do. I mean, I feel like over the pandemic, I really learned like, oh, you really do have to take care of yourself. So, or do things you like. Like I realized I like candles. I realized that over the pandemic. I didn't realize that I was a candle person. Like, okay, I like
Natural Body Works.
I don't know why. I don't even know why I haven't graduated to that level yet.
Oh,
I'm
you
just
should-
like, oh, this smells good, and I need to get to that level to go to the sales and stand outside and stuff. Candles and just really like I like traveling. Like we talked about that. So I mean, and dang, I'm kind of a bold person. I actually am. I'm a quietly bold person. I think I am. Because I did go to Dubai the week before the pandemic.
Wow.
But I was working here and I'll never forget, I told the ambassadors, like, I'm going to Dubai next week. And he just looked at me, where are you going? I had a great time. I did get scared the last day, but I made it back the day before. I came back to the United States the day before we shut down. Literally the day.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Glad you made it back for all of
But
us.
my friend was like, Dubai's not a bad place to get stuck, honestly. That's what she was just like, it's not a bad place here. But I went on. But I like traveling. And I want to do more of it. So
What's next on your travel list?
That's a good question. I want to go to Italy. I really do want to go there. I haven't been yet. So
I'll give you a recommendation.
yes, yes, I know you know all the spots.
Maybe so, but
The list, Excel sheet, all of the things.
Oh,
so
boy.
cool. Yeah. I think that also, I mean, I'm just saying the place I want to go to. I want to go to Bali. I haven't been there. I mean, yeah. There are other places. I just went blank, but yeah, those are some.
And what are the things like when you travel that you try to do? Like I know everyone travels differently in terms of like activities and things. What are your priorities when you travel? Eat.
Food and I just like culture and just seeing different cultures and different people, how different people live. So I don't like really. I'll do I'll do the mix of touristy stuff and non-touristy stuff because I don't want to feel completely like a tourist. So I want to feel like a local sometimes. So I like doing both. I just like exploring. I don't have to do too much. So
Too much planned, like you kind of do a mix.
It has to be a balance of it.
Yeah. And if you could recommend one place for someone to go, where would you recommend?
I feel like everywhere is so everywhere I've had different experiences. So, I mean, I don't know. The last place I went to was Mexico. I went to Tulum, which was actually really cool. I mean, I heard right now I don't know, I haven't watched the movie, someone told me something happened there. But I mean, I liked it. I had fun. So I enjoyed that experience. So that'd be a good place. I mean, Dubai is a recommendation. Like, so I'm trying to think. And I mean, then I've just been places around the U.S. Like, also, I mean, the week before I went to Tulum, a couple weeks before I was in San Diego. Or was it after? No, a couple weeks after Tulum, I went to San Diego. And that was pretty cool too. Like, anywhere I go, I just like try to embrace what's there and the culture there. Even if it's like in, you know, not international. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I could probably talk to you for a lot longer,
Yeah.
but I think we should probably
up.
wrap
That's what I
up.
got.
Unfortunately,
And I got a perfect question.
what you got,
Okay.
Eric?
Now, you talked about culture and all of
Yeah.
this, and Black History Month is here.
Okay.
So, my question is like, what does it mean being black? What does that mean to
What
you?
does being black mean to me?
Mm-hmm.
Being black means, man, being black is rich. It's richness. Like, because we're so rich in culture and just everything. And I mean, you know, blackness across the diaspora, because, you know, I'm Nigerian American, so I have experienced what it is to be black in America, and then also to have immigrant upbringing and roots. So I think it's just richness. That's how I would describe it. So,
I love
I think that's a perfect way to end.
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Margaret,
you.
for
for
sharing.
having me. That was,
Yes.
that was good.
It was good.
Y'all did a
You
good
like it?
job. Yeah.
All right.
Y'all
But-
did a good job. I was like, oh, it's over?
But we are so excited to interview Margaret Okene. Just Okina.
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 Yes.
Yes, you do.
Okina.
Yeah. Margaret Okina.
But she's amazing, a visionary, just represents black in a bold and beautiful way. And we're super excited to invite her to this table so we can show that we're more than just careers, you know. And this is definitely going to be featured on Black History Month. So thank you so much for your voice and just continuing to do the work, you know, to create equity across the board. I am honored to serve alongside of you and to help continue this work. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I can't say anything after that.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you.
I'll just say thank you again for
Yeah.
this.